In my LEGO project series, made up of 7 episodes, I will show my designing of an Alexander Dennis Enviro 400 MMC being built from scratch, including building the template model used as a design guide for the main LEGO model. Included in the episodes are footage, all of which I've taken, are footage of the real Alexander Dennis Enviro 400 MMC double-decker bus model, on which my LEGO model is based on. The episodes will also include my building of the template model, the designing process of the main model, the final assembly of the main model, and a small tour around my collection of 80 plus LEGO vehicle models. The scale I use for my LEGO vehicle models are approximately 1:30, and for the weight synchronisation, 117 grams equals a metric ton. This is to give a proportional weight sensation with my models. I have used this dimension scale and weight scale from about 2012. Occasionally I will conduct a staged LEGO vehicle crash, which will be used as a kind of crash test assessment. When one of my model LEGO models are due for destruction to make way for new models, instead of taking it apart by hand, I use a makeshift stock car racing arena for me to reenact the banger racing destruction derbies, like the real motorsport stock car banger racing events that I regularly attend. There is some of my footage I've taken of these real events shown in this introduction, alongside my LEGO model destruction derbies. I do these for my entertainment instead of just taking it apart by hand the mundane and boring way. I am a big fan of stock car banger racing after all. One of my LEGO models can last anything from a couple of years to well over 10 years. If you're wanting to see my YouTube videos I made using footage I've taken of the real banger racing events that were shown in the introduction to this episode, then I've included links in the description to this episode. I have also included links in the description to some of my other LEGO YouTube videos I made as well. Thanks for selecting my videos, and I hope you enjoy them all. In this episode E1, you could see my building of the template model and the start of the designing process of my main Alexander Dennis Enviro 400 MMC double-decker bus model. Design process is trying to figure out the wheelbases for the Enviro 400 MMC LEGO model representative. Behind that is the right Gemini bodied Volvo B7 TL. Working on the body profile. This is the progress report on the LEGO model. This is a dry run. This is just going to be the dummy run, or a template model for the Enviro 400. I'm probably going to get more LEGO, more wheels and more parts from the store to build another one. But this will be the basis, and just designing making a design on the, try to get the outline of the design made, the profile of it. Just comparing the heights. This is just getting the height in comparison with the height of the Gemini. It's 14'6". It's going to be 14'2", but having this thickness shorter on this model makes it just under 14 foot, 30'9". So I might have to just have it the same height. The representatives will be pretty much negligible anyway. There's only so much you can do with Lego. Although the model's 40'2" and the Gemini's 40'6", I can't get the scale difference with the limitations of the Lego. So I'll just have to be the same height as that. That'll be good enough. It's just like the overhang. The front overhang's just slightly longer than the rear overhang on the Enviro 400 MMC. With the right Gemini Volvo B70L, the overhangs again, wheelbase is as close as you can get with Lego. So that's the progress. I've still got the floor. There isn't an upper deck floor in here, so I might get the upper deck floor in there, and that'll raise the height up one thickness, which will match this height and get it in the same, you know, above 14 feet. 30'9" is a bit too low. It's too much of a difference. So I'm just logging this in for my progress report. This will be the dummy run, the dry run. This is just the template, if you like. The finished product, or the main model will be built from scratch alongside this template. And I'll probably just demolish and derby the template later on. This is just the dry run, the template model. Practicing getting the engine and transmission fitted in at the back here. This is the dummy run on the dry, you know, the template. It's got the chassis legs at each side. It's a 7-litre engine, so it's going to have 7 of these cylinders to represent 1 cylinder per litre. So just bulking up the engine a bit. I've had to put chassis legs at that side and that side, and the engine sits between them. And the transmission, the angle of drive also accounts for some of the bulk of the transmission. And that'll also act as a feed to the back axle. I could put a feed from there. Drive shaft representatives. The staircase to the template model. Look this in. It's just obviously the template, which could be altered at any time. Sort of put the roof assembly back on. I've still got the seats and interior to do like, but that's just the template staircase, template model of course. I wanted obviously a template suspension, front and rear, engine and transmission, transverse angular drive, independently fixed rather than being fixed on with the chassis legs. So the chassis legs are going over it, and the engine is bracketed to it rather than being sort of clamped in between the chassis leg and the bodywork. So you couldn't remove the engine unless you remove the chassis. Well, I don't do that on my models. I put them separately so you could remove the engine without having to remove the chassis legs. And as I say, this being a template model, it's obviously just one bracket there. And just to give us a visual aesthetics of the look. Engine, gearbox, 7 litre. One of these cylinders represent a litre. Just practice I use for my 1 in 30 scale models. So I've not done any chassis components other than the axle positions and the engine and transmission position. The window apertures, doorways, height, all that with driver cab, staircase has sort of been in the process of being experimented on. Get the bulkheads and that done as well. Look at the bulkhead. Staircase bulkhead. And of course the staircase. Working on the interior seat layout on the template model. So get the heights and that correct. It'll be higher at the back. Then they drop down a wee bit, and then they go a bit lower. Then I've got this to sort, and then there's 2 seats here on the Enviro 400. Enviro 400 MMC. So it's quite easy to take apart and easy to put back together again. As I say, it's just a template model. For now, I've got to go. It's just a short bit of time spent towards doing something, some work on it. So it's the seating layout kind of done in the template model. This would be a 78 seater. So upstairs layout, it's the best I could do. So next to seat here, in the Enviro it's got 7, but on this it's got 8. So it's next to 2 seats, and next to 2 downstairs as well. Well, next to 1 downstairs, I think. Well, 78 seater anyway. Got 31 seater downstairs, including 3 fold up seats and 1 wheelchair. So 30 normal seats. So what is it now? 27 normal seats, 3 fold up seats and 1 wheelchair. 31 capacity downstairs. And upstairs, 47. This is 78 in total. The original Enviros we've got in service, the real ones, 73 seater. It's got 2 seats less upstairs. It's 45 seater upstairs and 29 down. I was at 28 down. 73 plus a wheelchair, that's it, yeah. So it'll be 28 normal seats and a wheelchair on the original, the real buses. The Explorer Dundee ones have got 29 downstairs, including a wheelchair, and 45 upstairs. This is 73 normal seats plus a wheelchair, so a capacity of 74. Well, mine's is a capacity of 78. 31 down and 47 up. So that's just a template kind of for the aesthetics. Still a lot of stuff underneath. Engine, transmission's in. The axles have got just temporary suspension. It's obviously non-light top model or anything like that. Doesn't qualify for mid-shaft. Well, it would, but when it's got the lights and stuff like that. But this is just a template, just to get an idea of the sort of look, you know, scales and that, proportions, seat proportions and that. Don't know what it weighs yet. So we've got it on scales, weighs in at 909 grams. High weight scale synchronisation at 117 grams for a metric tonne. It weighs 7.7 tonnes, without any ballast of course, and without any auxiliaries. Obviously it's nothing like complete, it's just a template. That comes in at 7.7 tonnes or 909 grams. The top shelf model version, obviously this is a template, but the one will be built from scratch, which will be the top shelf model. The weight gain, or the weight aim, is to get it at 10.8 tonnes, same as the Explorer Dundee ones, 10.8 tonnes. So using a calculator, 117 times 10.8, will have to be 1263.6 grams on the scale for the finished one, for the top shelf model. As I say, this is just a template. This one here, which is at 7.7 tonne, 909 grams. And it isn't even finished, as you can tell. It's not got the flushness, it's just a template. Bit of development work done on the front design on the template model. On the back as well. So this is just images of the rear view. That's the rear lights, vegetation representative, and destination blind. On the template model, of course. There's a view of the front. These could actually double up as monitors for the mirrors, the monitors, because they're smaller. Just like the monitors we've got in the ferry buses, the Enviro 400s. Explorer D ones, of course. So again, as I say, template model, and I'm going to work on the auxiliaries and a wee bit of ballast perhaps as well. And then from there I'll build from this the top quality shelf model, top shelf quality model, or top shelf model, based on this template. The model doesn't have any interior lights or any interior paneling, just the bulkhead for the staircase, seat plan, and just some kind of sketch driver cab. Staircase as well. But there isn't any cross beams going across, neither for the structure. It's just purely template. So that's the interior lights, very basic inside. Very basic representative. As it is after all just a template model. Very basic. Haven't got any ballast in yet. Oh, ballast. It's 978 grams, which is 8.35 tonnes. So it's just 978 divided by 117 for 117 grams equals a metric tonne. 1 metric tonne. So it's 8.35 metric tonnes without any ballast. Some auxiliaries underneath. That's the new Lego for the build. I'm just taking the sellotape off them and going to sort them out into the broadette containers. This is the construction of the main top shelf model, just underway. I've relocated stuff in the alcove. I've rearranged it to get a bit more space to work. The models that are on that area is up in the cabin upstairs. Now this is the bottom frame chassis, first draft version of it. So there's a lot to go. Template model there, upside down, being used as a template. It's the floor layout, chassis, all overlapping joints. Now for the, as I say, this is just a dry run of the main model. It's not final assembly by no means. It's just what you call the dry run. Assemble it, build it up to a point, then disassemble it in sub-assemblies and reassemble it as a final assembly when it's all done properly. Thing is built to quality. At the moment it's just been built up as a as a dry run from the template, and then from then I disassemble it into sub-assemblies to reassemble it properly and thoroughly and accurately. So this is the sub-assembly first dry run of the chassis and floor pan. Still a lot to go, but I've managed to get all the wheelbase positions right, overhangs and everything, window layout correct, all the seating, window, the doorways, the overhang bit at the back with the chassis all works, all the overlaps. So the final model, the main model, top shelf quality model, as I call it, they've got to be overlapped. On the mid shelf, it doesn't have to be overlapped. It's just done a lot quicker, just for the aesthetics. And this is just a template which is not even, well, passes to mid shelf to a degree. It's probably below that substandard. It's a mid shelf tractor unit. Mentioned borrowing the wheels off it for the model until we order up more. So that's progress report on the start of the build, which would be the 3rd of, well, beginning on the main project, the main model, 3rd of June 2023. Work began on the main model on the 3rd of June 2023. Template model was done before. I'll put a separate file for the main model. And the rear bit cover, the engine covers and the chimney sprockets, if you like, with the airflow come in, the air cleaner box areas, and probably the radiator bit as well, these bits at the back, and just working on that. It's a dry run at the moment, and I could get there and put vents in it later on, so just kind of dry running it based off the template, or using that as a help of a basis. So that'll be for the air cleaner boxes and the rear engine cover. Back seats will go in there. Once you get all the rest of the stuff templated out, or dry run based off the template model behind it. So I'm working on the staircase now. There is a legal shed, legal shed. So, as I say, this is just a dry run. The final build will be done when it's all disassembled into sub-assemblies for its final assembly, and still in the design process at the moment, working alongside with the template. Upper deck roofs moved off the template to get access views for the staircase design on the main model. So this is just still the design stage. I haven't done, this is nothing like the final build or anything like that. It's just Still in the process of the design stage. Deck roof lighting. This is a lower deck roof, and just they could actually act as ballast. Ballast tanks for the weight synchronisation. I'll just seal them up. They act as little ballasts. So it says it's a lower deck roof, inner roof, inner lining between that and the upper deck floor. And the gap there can be filled with ballast, coins in other words, for the weight synchronisation. So I'm just in the process of doing that at the moment. It's in assembled bits, sub-assembled bits at the moment. It's nowhere near final assembly. I'll log that in as I'll be having it sub-assembled components all neatly laid out once it's been all designed up. Still in the design process. So it's like the interdeck roof, or the lower deck ceiling between that and the upper deck floor is just a sort of interdeck thing. This is where the coins could go as ballast, and it'll just fit in here. It's sealed with the spaces and the gaps not allow it to fit around the structure, and it's all sealed at the ends so coins are not going to fit in there. I've just got to put the one thickness across the tops of them to get it so it'll fit in there. And the structure beams there'll be the other seals. I'll seal them up. That's what these areas are for. Gaps there are for. That one's in already. So it's hollow, 1x4 wide hollow in there. That's it, 1x4, 1x3, 1x4. Or is it 1x5? 1x5 hollow, it isn't bad anyway, but there is a gap there, and here is a big gap that the structure beams will go across there, which is them. That's what these gaps are for, and that's the interdeck flooring, and on the other side will be the light representatives. So it's all sealed, so there's actually a cavity in there for the coins, ballast tank if you like. So it's sealed up at the ends, so I could put coins in there if I want to tune the balance up. Most of the coins, as I say, go in the wheelbase, the belly or the under ballast, but you could also have the additional ballast on the interdecking. So it was four cavity. Just relocating this again, just to fill in the gap. To fill in that gap, I put that one there, and that'll be covered with lights all the way along. The deck flooring above the entrance door, and you've got the 3x1 block gap in the centre, or room for ballast. So I'll just seal that off. And I'll put one in across there just to seal it completely. Interior lights. And there's a lot of work needing done. It's just put together again, temporary as usual, while I'm doing the design construction. The technique I use when in sort of temporary reassembling it is a jig setup. I put these bits across the top just to keep everything in line while I put everything back together just temporarily. And then I remove these, of course. Re-stiffened the roof, the upper deck roof, so I can't really demonstrate too well with this, but I'm trying to show you, but it's not easy to demonstrate with it. But it's a lot stiffer. There's a lot of rigid, so it's more of a one-piece solid or rigid roof. Rigid made the roof more rigid upstairs. got over some of the issues here just by putting the plates equally along the inside. I'll put the panels in there as well to get the window apertures correct. It's still a dry run, by the way. It's not the final build, by no means. There's a long way to go yet before it gets to the final build. Getting a dry run assembled together. It feels really quite rigid, actually. It's quite strong with all the interdeck flooring as well, and all the lights that run along neatly. It's all neatly assembled. Top shelf quality model, meaning that all the bits are overlapped. There's no bits that are left, you know, all the joins are overlapped. That's what top quality shelf means. With obviously the exceptions is just panels, you know. That's not so it's a problem, but it's structural. The main practice is just to overlap the stuff, so it's rigid. Whereas templates and mid-shelf quality models don't really need that. But all the top quality ones, top shelf ones do. Put that light on actually. So it really does feel rigid, which is good. No flexing or anything because it's been well put together. And it's not even final assembly. Long way before it gets to that stage yet. Meaning that it comes apart, disassembles it to be reassembled, and the sub-assembly stages for final assembly. So the long way to go yet. It's still being designed yet.
Sandra's body was found just 7 miles from the Pauline and Geraldine market. All of the goods had been strangled. Officers had to consider that the same person could be responsible for their murders. But despite the similarities, someone is already in the frame for Sandra's killing.
Work with the propulsion system, the engine, transmission and back axle. So I've got it fitted transversely. There's brackets. You'll see all that in the main final build. But it's just still in the design stages. I've got a kind of bit of an axle prop shaft going into the rear axle. Transmission bit as well in the engine. Brackets. And there's also an upper bracket as well. It's not so easy to film and do this at the same time, but got a bracket set back there on the transmission side. And later on we'll get the auxiliaries put in there, exhaust treatment stuff in this area, some radiators there, an induction system, and we've got the funnels or the chimneys and that, the others at the ends here, just at the ends of the cover, the top engine cover there. And the other end, so you get stuff, filters and that, air filter, radiator, induction, and these chimneys. And I'll put vents in them, cosmetics later on. This is just a rough idea, just to get an idea of the overhangs or anything like that, if there's anything protruding out from underneath, which seems to be okay. So it's still in the design stage. Oh no, I've added some vents to the rear for the rear chimneys. Maybe the air induction vent, stroke radiator, well, radiator on this side I suppose. Yeah. You'll be able to see through the vents on that side. If I put the light on, you should be able to see right through them. This is just the dry run. Very clear at the moment, but we certainly do on this side. Vents on there, and vents on there. The air induction stroke from the chimney, the air induction filter and tubing on the near side chimney, rear chimney. The vents. That's the induction for the air, for the engine, and also the air brakes compressor. So I'm going to do the radiator side now. So I'm putting in that chimney side. So I've upgraded put more vents on the off side for the radiator. We also will extend up to the chimney as well. So we've got a radiator representative in there now. So that's some of the engine auxiliaries in the rear compartment. So the engine, transmission, radiator, cooling pack, air induction, exhaust after treatment, and another auxiliary there. So radiator side, I've got to get an well, that's exhaust after treatment, so I'll get another exhaust representative, maybe at the tail, the induction side, and then I'll maybe get some auxiliaries at the back of the engine there. I might even do the suspension as well, I'll see. Suspension till tomorrow. So I'm just working with some auxiliaries. I've got a radiator, an oil cooler, I've got some auxiliary tanks, I've got an axle oil cooler representative under there as well. Fuel tank, still working on the front axle, front suspension. Got the rear suspension kind of done at the moment. So I've got to get some batteries in here as well and a couple of other auxiliaries. I'm going to finish off the front suspension as well. So I've took the engine out to add a starter motor representative. So I've also put in, I've took the auxiliaries off. Also added fuel tank and batteries, battery representative, and some auxiliaries there as well. Fuel tanks there.
suspension isn't a climb in and of itself. However, driving off makes the hair run, which is a climb famously.
So I'm now just working on the peripherals, the body panels, peripheral body panels. I've got the front panel and doing the underbelly or the under ballast tank. Turn that right side up. Like I say, this is just still the, I've got that to fill in as well, and that, which will get done at some point. Probably get that sealed along there with something. I'll work on that. There's little things to do. Front number plate, lights and wiper methods. Front entrance step as well. Still got to work on this. Just working on the ballast tank. I've got to reinforce it. Got the panel sorted, get them reinforced. Keeping the chassis components separate from the ballast. So the ballast will come up to there, the ballast base for the tank will go around this bit. And that's the reinforcement, and the reinforcing strap which goes over this bit here. So it keeps all that bit there free, that bit's not going to be covered, and neither's that. So the suspension components are uncovered, it's just the ballast bit that's going to be covered, and full of 5 pences for the weight ballast. There's also, as I say, a ballast tank between the two, the interdeck and the lower deck roof, and the upper deck floor, the interdeck bit, there's ballast tanks in there, so there's plenty of ballast tanks, and it only weighs, it's going to be 10.8 tonnes, so the Gemini's 12.25 tons, require a lot of ballast. I've got it in there, no bother. Shouldn't have any difficulty getting ballast in this bottle. Plenty of ballast tanks, and it doesn't have to be as heavy as the Gemini. So, still working on the main design. It's not nowhere near the final stages, it's still being in the design stage. Once it's all designed, it'll be disassembled into sub-assemblies for a final reassemble. And I will do a log video of the whole final assembly. I'll strap the phone to my chest like I did on the other model, the Volvo Ilse Alexander AV type body. I catalogued the whole final reassemble process, and I'll do the same with this model as well. The strapping points where the supports go, you can see how that fits on there, and the strap going across the two chassis legs. So we've also got the exterior reinforcing straps on as well for the underside of the ballast tank, or what was once called the belly, as I referred it to once before. So I've got it right side up, and it does feel rigid, very solid, well put together. Registration representative indicators, side dips, rear, tail lights, high brake lights, reg representative, registration, rear blind representative. The front one, well, be fairly easy, I guess. I could maybe either just do a simple by adding one of them there. Look into that. The front incorporated with the destination blind, all this clear bit. Staircase has all been done neatly. Still obviously got the interior, the banister, the cab and everything. Still a lot of work to go yet. Obviously the seats and then the window hoppers, all that's got to be done. I have to write that on there, by the way. Mind me, window hoppers. There's a long way to go yet. And I've added that there as well. wee appreciation just how much flat bases plates are used in the double-decker model of mine of a top shelf quality. You've got the base, you've got the base for the belly, then you've got the floor, then you've got the interdeck, top deck, bottom deck roof, then you've got the top deck floor, then you've got the roof. So you've got plates there, you've got plates going on the underside of for the belly, the underbelly for the ballast tank. Then you've got the floor plates. Then you've got the interdecking plate, which is the inner, the inner roof for the lower deck roof. Then you've got the top deck floor, which is plates. Then you've got the top deck roof. So that's 5 of them. 1, 2, interdeck 3, lower deck, upper deck floor 4, top deck 5. So there's a lot of plates. Top deck roof, a lot of plates going there. That's what I mean by plates. These flat plates, a lot of them are used in a double-decker model of top shelf models these days. Not all of them had them. Not all of them had interdeck roofs, but they all had underbellies. So there was at least 4. Then you've got the complications with the staircase as well. Very complicated. Then you've got the complications with the rear engine bustle and the plate that goes over there as well. At the back there. And you've got less space, transverse motor engine. So it's harder to make a double decker by a long shot than it is a single. Just because of the extra complications with the staircase in particular. The inner deck roof, the lower deck inner roof, called the interdecking section, which doubles up as ballast tank as well. The gap between the bottom deck roof and the top deck floor. We call that interdecking, and that space is used for ballast. It's got to be done correctly, no overlapping and reinforced. Just like the ballast tank from the lower deck floor and the underbelly for the mid wheelbase ballast tank. So there's plenty of room for coins, preferably 5 pences, to get the weight synchronisation right. Although it's not an overly heavy model at 10.8 tonnes, whereas the Deckers, the Gemini is 12.25 tonnes. And to refer to that, I mean 117 grams equals a metric tonnes for the weight synchronisation. In relation to all the other models. So I'm going to do some work on the seats. I might actually start with the driver controls and the driver cab. So I mean opening up the bus, taking it apart to get into the decks. The driver's cab.
October 2025, so I think that the questions on compensation would be more centered.
Some lights, some auxiliaries.
Millions by producers, but there will also be challenges.
So got the interior seats to do.
So, infrastructure being put to good use. Will this actually be implemented for Scotland and other nations will prepare?
The bus again, and then just putting in the flooring, the floor beading, floor strapping. 29 seats downstairs, 5, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. These represent 1, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be just a single seat there instead of a double on my model. So we've got 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23, 24, plus the 5, that's 29 seats downstairs. 29 seater downstairs, and I'll get the seats sorted for upstairs in a minute to get the overall capacity. Oh, you've got the wheelchair space as well. Working on the upper deck floor now, getting the floor strapping down on the upper deck, and the banister as well. And there's a wee sort of luggage rack kind of thing and heater assembly there as well at the back of the front offside seat upstairs. And the seats and that arranged for the upper deck. So now we're going to work on the floor standing spaces. It's going to be 24 standees, 76 seating, 24 standees, 100 capacity plus a wheelchair. That's 101. The seating arrangement down for downstairs. 29 seats downstairs, 24 standing, plus one wheelchair. 29 seater. These seats count for one, by the way. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a one single seat as well. Whereas on the model it's double. This is a single model. These represent double seats. The bench seat's 5. So it's 29 seats in total. And you've got 24 standees. And you've got one wheelchair space. These represent one standees. Each of these mats represent a one standee. There's 24 of them. As I said, there's 47 seats upstairs. So there's a grand capacity total of 101, including the wheelchair. Centre driver lights for the cab, and either our monitors or mirrors or controls monitors or interior monitors. So they could double up as either monitors or mirrors for the wing side mirrors. So this is me now, just sort of reassembling it. It's nowhere near the final assembly. It's still on the design stage for the main model, so it's nowhere near the final assembly. I'm just reassembling it temporarily for just to assess how it is, to see what it's like, check it when it's all assembled before I disassemble it into the sub-assemblies for final assembly. So there's still a lot of work to wait. It's still ballast and everything, and there's lots of things, possible vandal screen and everything yet to go. That's that assembled. Now I've just got the mechanical bits to put on, the engine and that, and then put the I've not done the hoppers yet, so the hoppers for the windows aren't done yet. They still need to be done, so they're blank at the moment. But then I've still got all the panelling to do. All that's to go on yet. Kind of assembled for the temporary assembly with the seats, cab and most of the auxiliaries in it actually. There's still the door representative and the hoppers, window hopper representatives. I haven't got them in yet, but I'll think of something. I've still got finishing touches like that. And obviously I've got the weight ballast. I don't think I'll need much ballast somehow, but I still haven't got the vandal screen in yet if I'm going to have one. Monitors that double up as mirrors. There could be mirrors or monitor representatives, and of course the monitors and cameras rather. The monitors are in the cab above the steering wheel on each side. It could either that be doubling up for interior monitors or both. I'll get the weight in a minute. As I say, this isn't the final build. This is not the final assembly. I've got the seats arranged. This model might not need any ballast. They're very little. It's at 10.2 tonnes, 1195 grams, 117 grams equals a metric tonne. As it calculates out at 10.2 metric tonnes. The model's going to be 10.8 metric tonnes, so I'll need very little ballast. There's plenty of ballast tank in there, but it'll act as a stiffener, body stiffeners. Interdecking will strengthen the bodywork, where the ballast tanks are just basically empty, redundant, and it adds weight in itself and structural stability. The very little ballast that I will need, there's tons of ballast tanks in it. I will just be put in the belly, the wheelbase, and it'll be sellotaped up so there's no rattling. As I say, there's still stuff to go. There's the door representative, there's a hopper representative, there's the window representatives, the vandal screen, and possibly ticket machine as well. So just before I go, I'm going to reinforce a few weak points on here. Where the panels fit, I'm going to put stuff like a block or something in the gap there so that these panels don't push in too easily, because at the moment there's nothing really stopping pushing in. And with the top quality shelf model, I'll need to have that problem addressed and solved. So the gap between the ballast and the sidewall, the cavity there, I'm going to put something down in that gap so that they don't push in so easy. Now again, that'll add weight as well, so I'm going to do that now. They're just going to be put into the cavities. You'll see all this being revealed during the final assembly. And I say, when I put the panels there, it's got to overlap the gaps, the long bit overlaps. It doesn't push in anywhere near as easy because it's got that there to prevent it. And what I mean by the long bit overlapping that bit there being a 3 is to go over that bit there, the join, because it's top quality, top shelf model. That's added on the near side. The door doesn't need one. This is here has already got this. That's in already. Sorry, this one here is part of the staircase structure, so it doesn't really require one. And when I put them there, preferably at the joints, so it's just reinforces it. But in this case, it'd be too far offset. I like to have it kind of in the centre right there, so I have to admit by putting it there instead. Where it doesn't matter, I could go really just towards the ends, spaced out part. But where there's a join in the centre and over the join preferably, I've got a choice either there or there. Best to put it over the joints and make it rigid. In this case, as I said, I had to move it there to keep it more central rather than putting it over the joint. It wouldn't matter too much. On this, it doesn't really matter. Well, it wouldn't anyway because it's got that there acting as a support. And on this, it's over the joint as well. The door, the passenger door, doesn't require one. Did it again with just the supports behind these panels on the other side as well. It comes in at 1206. So the representative 1206, divide that by 117. That's coming in at 10.3 tonnes. So it won't need hardly any ballast, and that's without a vandal screen or a door representative. So it's nowhere near finished. It needs to be disassembled, put into sub-assemblies and reassembled for final assembly. And anything else I've got to just check on that list to confirm that everything is done right. It's just a dry run at the moment. I'm still obviously in the design stages of the main model. Oh, possible door mechanism. Possible door. I've just got to think about the vandal screen now. It's going to have any. It's a vandal screen getting put in.
And the truth is that while there was some recovery in the service position in the early weeks of Fisher's service apprenticeship, the position does now look to seem to be flatlined. In truth, by my
violent. I mean, this is extraordinary that she was arrested and held in custody. It's still an extraordinary thing. Why is Labour's share one of the parties?
I mean, you know what, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert and talk from either the Midlands, although it is a bit closer to Scotland, about what happens in Scotland. But the Left Party had a long way to come back from, and it has made real progress. And it's absolutely, I think, a real test, and we will fight for every single vote.
Work out the ballast for this, no? .48 grams. That's how much ballast is needed to get this up to 10.8 metric tons. So So it's basically 10.8 times 117, which is 1263.6 grams for the weight scale. At the moment it's sitting at the weight scale of 10.3 tonnes. It needs to be that to get it to 10.8. So the displacement is 50.6 grams of ballast required. As you know, I use 5 pences, 1 pences and 2 pences, preferably the small ones of 5 pences for my ballast, because it'll fit into the weight, into the model without having to alter the model design too much. So they're small but heavy. So I've got to get 50 grams of coins of ballast added to the model to bring the weight of the model up to the 1263 grams. Obviously dividing the 1263 grams with 117, because 117 equals a metric ton for my weight scale for my models. Requires that amount of ballast. That's 52 grams, which is not bad. So I add that to the weight of the bus, and that should be the overall weight in synchronisation to all the other models of 10.8 tonnes. So it's only requiring that amount of coins. It's at 1265 grams. So if I add that, divide that by 117, which is the common denominator. 117 equals a metric ton for my weight synchronisations for the relations to the other vehicles. So that's coming in at 10.81 tonnes. So I can maybe even drop it down just by a wee bit. Smallest inclines you could do is with 5 pences. So it's 1262 grams. So 1262 divided that by 117. So it's dropped a bit too below. Although actually I'm going to use that because the buses are actually 10,784 kilograms anyway. So, and of course when I put the sellotape around them to stop them rattling about, being a top shelf quality model, I can't have the ballast rattling about. So that'll add virtually no weight, but it's still weight nonetheless. As I say, the mid-shelf quality models don't require that, so you'll hear the coins rattling about on them. It's not so important. So that's the weight synchronisation done. So that's 10.8 tonnes, for example. The Gemini's 12 and a quarter tonnes. So that's going to be that much heavier than the Enviro 400. So meaning that the grams, when I weigh that, it's going to be 12.25 times 117. So it should be 1433 grams. So that's the Gemini Model 1, and it's coming in at 1438. So it's not far off 12 and a quarter. It's actually slightly more. It was 12,280 kilograms anyway, the real model. So that's what I would have based it on. So 1438 divided by 117. Yeah, it's not bad. 12,290 or 12.29 metric tons. 12,290 kilograms or 12.290 metric tons. That's how heavy the actual real bus Gemini weighs. So the weight difference between the models are, as I say, synchronised in all my models, including cars, buses, lorries, trucks, single deckers. They've all got their own weight. That's just the bonnet that came off the back of the. It's not important. I could easily put that on. I took that off earlier anyway. So the weight differential between the models are in sync, as it is with the real life models. So the proportions of the weight are the same and proportionate. That's why I have a weight synchronisation of 117 grams for a metric ton, and it required. So the coins is out there then. So 15 5-pence pieces is what it's required for the weight ballast to get that without any ballast up to the 10.8 tons. So it's about 75 pence worth of coins in value. That's the model pretty much complete. Can't really alter any more with it because I've synchronised the weight. So if I alter anything at weight, I'll have to be resynced. What happens now is I take the model apart completely down to its sub-assemblies, and then I do a final reassemble. I'll log in all the sub-assembly components and I'll film the actual reassembly the final assembly. So at the moment it's just dry run, it's not actually, because all the bits have got to be put on, squeezed properly tight and all equal. As you say, it's only put like that as a dry run. I've got to check through this. I've still got actually, there is a thing I need to do. I've got to put the hoppers on, window hoppers. That's just a hopper representative. There's not much there. There's not going to be a lot to, it'll probably just be something like that as a hopper. So that'll have to resync the ballast as well. So it's easy enough to do. The window hoppers, representative, so only really used these, 10 of them. So there's one there, one there, one there, one, well that one will be going there, that one on that side. And for the other side, there's hoppers there, 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 and there. That's the representative, so it's only 10 of them. That won't affect the weight that much, but it will be getting weighed and adjusted accordingly with the ballast, if necessary. With the hoppers, it's only coming in at 1264. The ballast is just negligible really, so I'm quite happy to just not alter the ballast in any way. It's coming in at 10.8 exactly. 10.8 metric tons with, there's only 10 of these, so it's negligible really. 1063, it fluctuates between 1063 and 1064, so that's perfect. Ticked off the stuff on the checklist as well, so that's pretty much a model completed. So as I say, I've got to just disassemble it into sub-assemblies, record the sub-assemblies and then do a final reassembled build, and I'll record all that in a separate video. If you're wanting to see my YouTube videos I made using footage I'd taken of the real banger racing events that were shown in the introduction to this episode, then I've included links in the description to this episode. I have also included links in the description to some of my other LEGO YouTube videos I made as well. Thanks for selecting my videos and I hope you enjoy them all.